So, welcome everybody to our April edition of Marine Evening. We sort of feel like we're missing quite a few team members. So, Corey and Sancha and Claudia Zalay, that's our entire marketing team, they've already departed for Cape Town. They are there. We're going to be there for the World Travel Market this week. Super important marketing event for us to meet all the overseas international agents and to market Kleinby, Hansby, Whale Coast, Whale Route, and then of course South Africa and the Western Cape. So a very important week for us. It starts literally at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then there are events at night that we have to attend, and every 15 minutes you're meeting a new agent, and we're going to be there at 2 stands. So Corey and Sancha, who's usually here and usually welcoming you, they aren't here tonight. They are partying up a storm in Cape Town. It's part of it, you know. So Wilfred just got back, and he will also be doing a topic. He's been invited by Harold Goodman, and it's a panel discussion about nature positive tourism. So it's a great topic. I'm glad that we can share our non-consumptive ecotourism efforts that we are doing with our conservation efforts with the rest of the world. So before I get to our speakers for tonight, I would like to show you something. We had an incredibly busy March. I keep on saying that, like every month I'm like, oh, we had such a busy February, oh, we had such a busy July. But it's been incredibly busy. But we had the honor of having the Western Cape Department of Social Development, Minister Jaco Landskamp. And he contacted us and he said that he wants to bring a group of social workers, and he wants to bring children who's been through their foster parent program. So in other words, they probably came into the program 5 years or 10 years old, and they completed it until they were the age of 18. He wants to bring them, and he wants to share with them a shark dive. So he said we would love to have them here. Amy was their guide on the boat that day, and we spoke to the crew and everybody here at the Greybutt House. It was such an incredible group. The social workers, the minister, those kids, they were so thankful and so grateful and so joyful and so excited. It just made me realize again, they've been through so much, and those social workers see so many horrible things, but they were so thankful and joyous and happy to be there. And we got the most incredible stories from their visit. The minister actually sent a text message to Wilfred while he was abroad saying, "This means so much to my department and to us. Thank you so much for sharing the work that you do." And then we also asked them to become social workers for our sharks, because the sharks are incredibly vulnerable at the moment. They are indiscriminately decimated. So we asked them to become our ambassadors and our social workers for sharks. But I just want to show... I just want to share a short video that was posted on Network News 24, just about their visit that they made. The sound isn't that great, but just to give you an idea of the kind of people that we had here. And it's a special month with so many different visitors from overseas, and you get these extremely rich, and then you get these people who are just the best clients because they just really enjoyed the shark dive. So please have a look. Check the sound there at the back. It's not muted here. It's not muted this side.
It's not good. Here is muted.
Ah.
Why does it say muted?
Click on it, Susie. Click on it.
But it doesn't do anything.
See what happens. Oh! This is when the marketing team is not here. We're going to figure it out, Susie.
Yeah.
Make that go away. It's still muted. Donnie, can we speak to you for a second?
Yay!
There, that one stays on muted. Can you take that muted off?
That is the one
Why
I
is it-
talked about
Oh,
earlier.
I know. It's probably this one. Oh, I've got it.
You did it! You did it! Woo!
Hold on.
Don't ask the blonde.
Took a while. Thanks, Susie, for your assistance. Okay, but now full screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for me today was the kids that came out of the foster system. They were so nervous. Maybe even say some fear before they went, but when they came out of that water, the smiles on their faces was just amazing.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was also scary because it was really hard. So yeah, but I did enjoy it. I was very excited, when I heard about it and I did research about it. So I wasn't nervous at all. Like I want to do it again. The experience was amazing. It was seeing
And that is how you overcome things in life. And this is also what today celebrates our social workers that every single day show tremendous bravery and face challenges to look after the most vulnerable in our society.
People is the ones that motivates me to wake up every day and know I'm going to make a change in the community and do something for the people. That's what motivates me. That's what keeps the fire burning.
Ja, dit is maar min, baie daar. Maar ek sien suksese en ek sien verandering in kinders se lewens en dit is nie noodwendig altyd vinnig en gou nie, maar daar kom stories van na 'n jaar of 2 of 3 dat kinders na hospitaal terugkom en sê dit het hulle lewe verander. So dit is wat my gaan nou en ek weet ons kan verskil maak in hulle lewens.
the growth good to the community also and into my life also. And that made me move forward in life. And today I'm 9 almost done with school and I'm proud to say that.
Marine dynamics, it was such an amazing day. What they taught us, I even learned things today that was fantastic. What they do for conservation and making sure that we have eco-friendly tourism, what they did for the kids, the social workers today, big up to Marine dynamics. So it's Social Work Month. At the end of it, we celebrate the amazing social workers in the Department of Social Development, also our NGO partner organizations, and then the kids. We've got 43,000 kids in our foster system. We need you to step up and take hands with the department, with NGO, and let's help these kids get channels, pathways for them for a better future.
Susy, do you know the trick?
So, a wonderful minister, but I walked down to the harbour with him and I said to him, they are the heart and souls of the communities, and it's so great to see that they are such incredible people and that they are so dedicated to doing their job. So thank goodness for our Western Cape government. So it was an absolute honour having them here. So I have two shark social workers. I'm going to introduce you to Susy. She's our head guide on the shark boat. Incredibly passionate about sharks. She dreams sharks, loves sharks, works sharks, everything except for eating sharks. No. We're a vegetarian. We don't eat no sharks. Then Haley is our marine biologist. Susie's from Norway, and Amy's from South Africa, but she left 10 more years that she left the country for another dog-friendly place. Sorry. So they're going to share more information about our beautiful sharks. We also need your help here. We hear it quite often that people go, have you got sharks? Or are there sharks on Transmont? People go, no, haven't seen sharks since 2017. We've got sharks. Like you saw in the video as well, we've got the most incredible bronze whaler sharks. I don't want to get too much into it because they will explain to you the different shark species that we do see. So please don't ever say to people, no, we don't have sharks. We haven't seen the great whites here for a few months, but we've got sharks. We've still got incredible sharks. So we need to spread the word so we can continue the conservation work we do. So over to Susy and Amy.
Are you going to use one mic? Lights off.
All right, everyone. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for being here. My talk today is going to be about our shark sightings, mostly through last year, 2024, as we're still early into 2025. I'm also going to mention a little bit of statistics, but also conservation, and also the threats sharks are facing. Starting out with, guys, the bronze whaler sharks. This is the shark species we most commonly operate with. These are a schooling species, so we can be quite lucky to see quite a few individuals during our trips. As they're a schooling species, they're also cooperative hunters. That means they do take advantage of each other while they're hunting. and the main food source is smaller schooling fish, such as anchovies, sardines, herring, and mackerel. They can grow up to closer to 3.5 meters, and they have a natural lifespan of 25 to 30 years. Yeah, guys, you can see a broken jaw right there. Also, guys, these sharks, also all sharks of the recurrent family, including 50 different species, they do give live birth. So even though these sharks are fish, they give live birth to pups. The females, they only reach sexual maturity when they're 19 to 20 years of age. Many of these sharks are unfortunately caught and killed commercially, but also caught as bycatch. I'm just going to go through a little bit about our sightings during 2024. As you guys can see, our sightings have been dropping in June, July, and August. This cause can be due to the annual sardine run. That happens on the Eastern Cape when millions of sardines migrate up the eastern coast, and then you can see hundreds of sharks, beautiful seabirds, whales, and dolphins as well. Even though these numbers are dropping during our winter months, we can still see bronze whalers all year around. And as you guys can see as well, the total of sightings, and this is what me and Amy log during all our trips. It doesn't mean different individuals, but we log all different sightings we have of bronze whalers. It can be a few individuals that will stick around for a few weeks, but they don't permanently stay around in the bay. And we also get individuals we can see multiple times during the year. So closer to 6,000 sightings in 2024. Next up, guys, as Christine was saying, we did have great white shark sightings last year. Our first sighting was on the 4th of May, where we actually counted 3 females. These females were between 2 to 2.5 meters in length. And also in May, we had a bigger individual, which was a male, reaching about 3 meters. So just in May alone, we had 4 great white sharks. Here at Marine Dynamics, we have quite a big database when it comes to dorsal identification. So myself and Amy, when we have a white shark, we try our best to get, first of all, photos of the dorsal fin, as this is our own unique fingerprint. And those are the trailing notches on the back of the dorsal. And we also try to log any distinctive features like freckles and injuries the sharks are displaying as well. With these 4 individuals we had in May, we haven't found a match. So still juveniles to sub-adults. And as I said, the biggest individual, we actually had 2 different dates. There was a 3-meter male on the 11th and 18th of May. We also had more white shark sightings in 2024. We did have a female also on the 2nd of July. And this female was the video you saw in the recent slide. 2.5 meters. This female was also staying a little deep, so unfortunately we couldn't get a dorsal ID. Our last sighting was on the 14th of October. This also was a white shark that was just cruising in the Chumslick. This was Amy's trip. Stayed about 50 to 100 meters away from the boat, and that is sometimes what white sharks can do. Not very interactive, just cruising around, up and down the Chumslick, but estimated to be around 2 to 2.5 meters in length. And because we couldn't get an ID of the dorsal or sex the animal as well, we can just estimate that it was still a juvenile. Last up, we have my favorite shark species, which is also a prehistoric shark species, dating back from the Jurassic Age. The fossils of this shark dates back 140 million years back in time. So this is the broad-nosed seven-gill shark that you can commonly find in South Africa, unfortunately a threatened species as well. And these numbers of sightings of the seven-gill has increased, especially after the white sharks moving out from this area. They're normally found during the daytime in kelp forest, and at night, while they mostly will be hunting, they can be on rocky substances, but also sandy bottom as well. They do have jagged and combed teeth, And actually, we do have a few, I'm going to show you in a moment, few short-tailed stingrays that has shark bites, and it might be a 7-gill that has bitten these individuals. That means when they bite onto the prey, they don't let go. So they can reach up to about 3 meters in length, and the individuals we mostly encounter during our trips are between 80 centimeters to 1.5 meters. They're known to only reach sexual maturity when around that size, so 1.5. They can also live about maximum 50 years. And this is just a little bit about the numbers we had in 2024. And as I said, the numbers of sightings we've been having for the last 5 years have just been increasing. So in total, 161 sightings. Next up, we do have the short-tailed stingray. So this is one of the largest stingray species, actually the biggest saltwater stingray species in the world. They can reach up to about 2.1 meters just in a disc form alone, and over 4.3 meters in length. They do have 2 venomous barbs, and they will use this if they're feeling threatened. When we have done necropsies on white sharks, we have also found these barbs in the white shark. They are a coastal species, also often found in coastal waters where there's a lot of fishing activity, especially fishermen discarding of fish pieces they don't need. That is an easy meal for these short-tailed stingrays. Amy is also going to talk a little bit about the ID of these individuals as well. As I did mention, we do have 3 that has shark bites, but there is a way to identify the different individuals throughout the shark bites by some spots, but Amy will go more through that during her presentation. Just a little bit about the numbers of last year. The only month we didn't have any sightings was in August, but in total, 272 sightings. And actually this year we did have a trip where we had 5 different individuals. Last time we had this many was in 2017. So now guys, I'm just going to move on to a little bit which is quite important, not only for myself and Amy, but also for marine dynamics. And that is when we do have our trips, we don't only want to give everyone a good experience, an adventure of a lifetime, but also an educational experience and why we are operating and what we do for conservation and for the sharks. So why are sharks important? Well, sharks, they do keep a healthy ecosystem as they are apex predators. That means everything that falls under in the food web, they keep in balance. Okay. In South Africa alone, we have an incredible biodiversity of sharks, skates, and rays, about 200 species. 40 of these species are listed by the IUCN. This is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, from least concerned to critically endangered. Next, I'm going to show guys, I am going to show you a little video. Might be a little sensitive to a few of you, but I'm not the person to cut it down. We do need to show you guys what's been happening in our bay, and also to show you now that we have a shark protected area where we are operating. In February 2019, our shark cage diver guests were shocked when a fishing vessel began catching bronze-winged sharks within clear view of our dive site. Also, as they were observing sharks in their natural habitat, they also were seeing them being killed. This incident was a similar event that happened back in October 2018, when shark enthusiasts were left deeply disturbed after a fisherman caught and killed a 100-kilo bronze whaler near our dive site. 4 bronze whalers were reportedly killed that morning. In an effort to prevent conflict, we approached the former Department of Agriculture, Forestries and Fisheries to propose a small exclusion zone where the fishing of bronze whaler sharks would not be allowed. However, just 3 years ago, significant progress was finally made. A designated no-catch shark zone was established, stretching from Franz Grove to Pearly Beach and Dyer Island. Within this zone, no shark species can be targeted, and no use of live bait purposely to catch sharks is strictly prohibited. Even research activities such as tagging requires a special permit. This is a major win, not only for the shark diving industry, but also for the long-term protection of the sharks themselves. During all our trips, we closely monitor and record all shark sightings, this including any injuries we observe. Unfortunately, it is not uncommon to spot sharks with hooks still embedded in their mouth, often from recreational fishing. In some cases, we also see sharks still with long trailing fishing line, which our team will attempt to remove if possible. During our trips, we often see larger female bronze whale sharks showing signs of mating-related injuries, which are a natural part of shark behavior. We often get questions from our guests regarding these injuries we observe on sharks. While documenting these injuries is important, it's also vital for these moments to educate and engage our guests about the various threats sharks face and of course the conservation efforts we are involved in. We also encounter more severe injuries, such as missing dorsal fins, or in many cases, broken jaws. Broken jaws typically occur when a shark is hooked and struggles intensively to free itself. In the process, the jaw can break completely. Also, fishermen could cut the hook out, and in these cases, breaking the jaw. A severe injury does not never fully heal, but may affect the shark's ability to hunt and to survive. Over the past 50 years, global shark population has declined more than 70%, with the main cause being fishing activities. Long-line fishing, which uses thousands of baited hooks, is particularly devastating, capturing not only sharks, but also a wide range of other threatened marine species, often caught as bycatch. To put it into more perspective, during my talk today, nearly 4,000 sharks have been caught and killed. Alright everyone, if that doesn't impact you, that is not more I can do. But this is the reality for all sharks globally, not only here in Hansby. It is estimated within an hour, about 12,000 sharks are being killed the clock around. In the year we do use numbers like 100 million sharks, but this is sharks that is accounted for as bycatch and also caught. But it's estimated closer to 300 million sharks could be caught and killed yearly. And this is mainly due to fishing activities. Again, guys, sharks, they have roamed the globe for closer to 450 million years. As you can see here, they're older than trees, they're older than the dinosaurs, and they have survived 5 global mass extinctions. To mention more, they're older than Mount Everest and the Northern Star, and they deserve more respect than what they're given. And it's because of them we still, hopefully, can have an healthy ecosystem for the future. But we need to take action, not only for ourselves, but also for further generations to come. As you can see, major threats to sharks. Overfishing. Sharks often caught as their fins. It's not only the finning that is caught catching sharks and the reason for it, but that is the first you would think about. You could also blame Asia, but there's so much more we can blame. The catching of sharks happens globally, and there's many countries that still catch sharks, legally and again illegally. Bycatch. That means sharks are not supposed to be caught, but because of non-sustainable fisheries, they're often caught as bycatch. Habitat destruction. That means pollution, coastal developments, climate change, ocean temperatures, what is happening with, for example, also the Great Barrier Reef. Sharks, again, on top of the food chain, we need them. Okay, we need them for our survival as well. I'm going to mention something that I do mention to most of our guests visiting us that are not aware of. Squalene. What this is, guys, this is a component driven out of the oil from the liver of the sharks. This is used in many beauty products and medication as well, such as anti-aging creams, lotions, deodorants, as you can see, some of the others that we have. The other day I was at Clicks, our local Clicks. It took me 2 minutes to find something containing squalene. Luckily now, as we are in the new age 2025, there's a lot of beauty brands and pharmaceuticals that are taking a stand and also choosing a natural products such as olive oil that can be used for squalene as well. But it is estimated that about 6 million to 10 million sharks are just killed for this squalene. And that is still happening. And they often blame bycatch. That is the sharks that we use for the squalene, which is not true. So today, guys, I want to encourage you, same with my guests as well, take a look what you have in your drawer. Take a look what you guys are using. Also, guys, squalene, it's not only there, it stops. When it comes to sharks, it is their meat as well. And here in South Africa, we have big export of shark meat to other countries. And I'm just going to mention a few of the names that shark meat is present. Here is the list, guys. For example, in Australia, if you eat fish and chips and if you eat flake, that is shark. And as you can see, the list goes on. Also found in fish patties, fish fingers. If you see any of these names, you're eating shark. Last but not least, guys, call to action. I want you guys to, hopefully that you learned something today, but it all starts with everyone, not only for marine dynamics and other conservationists, but I want you guys to talk to your family, talk to your friends. If you know anyone that is fishing, talk to them a little bit about what they're catching. Are they catching sharks? What does this do to the future for our oceans and our ecosystems? Support shark conservation, educate and awareness, and at the end, reducing consumption. Here in South Africa, we do have this SASSI, which is the South African Sustainable Seafood Initiative, where you can look up online if the fish you are considered to eat is green listed, orange listed, or red listed. Thank you, guys. Next up, we have Amy, my dear colleague and marine biologist.
Perfect. Thank you. Just bear with while I get the slides up. We've really shown ourselves not to be tech-free advanced here. You got it. Alrighty guys, so of course as Susy mentioned, when it comes to our sharks, they are facing a lot of threats. It's not just our shark species, there's other fish species too. Here in Hansby, we are blessed with our marine big five. There is so much that's here on our doorstep. So of course at Marine Dynamics, it's more than just an experience for the guests. There's the education that comes with it, the conservation that comes hand in hand with all of this. So I'm just going to chat to you guys a little bit today about the work that we are doing and the various species that we'll be discussing as well. But yeah, of course with our stars, our bay, our bronze whaler sharks, so these have really crept their way into our hearts. We started seeing them a lot more frequently over the past few years. And with these new sightings, a lot more questions came too. We didn't know as much as we thought we did about our local ecosystem. So what we've done every single time we are out on our boats, this is an opportunity for us to collect data on them. So we're not going to waste our hours on the sea. We're there with our data sheets. We're utilizing our volunteers, our interns. They're the ones who are helping equip us with this knowledge. And of course with that, what we're going to look at is the relationship between our oceanic environment and then also the sharks that we have. So what we've had a look at mainly is the temperature and then also the dissolved oxygen. Why this is important, specifically temperature, it does have a big effect on our shark species. So they are what we call an ectothermic animal. So this means they are cold-blooded, they aren't able to regulate and monitor their own internal temperatures. So they do rely on the water column to monitor this as well. So if we have changes in our environment, we will maybe see some changes in our sharks as well. Of course, directly where we operate within the shallows, it's a very small region, around 7 to 10 meters of water depth. But what we have is also an estuary input. So alien coral comes directly into our ecosystem there. Every single week we're going to see variation based off of this, and typically there are some changes in our sharks as a result. When it comes to the effect of warmer waters on our shark species too, because it is increasing their internal temperatures, we tend to see an increase in their metabolism. So that's the rate that they are digesting their food. We have an increase in activity too. And with rising oceanic temperatures, I'm sure you guys are fully aware of the effects of climate change globally, as well as within our certain ecosystem. Increasing temperatures can have an effect on the internal biology of our shark species as well. So specific enzymes and proteins are very sensitive to heat, so it can actually change the shape and then the process of their digestion within our sharks too. So it will affect how they're utilizing their food, and from that, even survival rate from that point too. When it comes to an increase in water temperature too, the amount of oxygen that can be retained within that water does decrease. So if we are having higher temperatures than normal, this does mean we can start seeing a decline in the dissolved oxygen. Of course, just like us, sharks are utilizing oxygen to stay alive, maybe not breathing in the same way that we do. They're going to rely on that water to be passed over their gills. There will be a transfer of that oxygen into their bloodstream. That's how they are breathing, but we are going to see an effect based on this. So what we've done, my intern, Thomas, he's not here tonight, but he's from France. He's been with us for 3 months. And what he is looking at is the relationship between what our sharks are doing and our different oceanic environments based off of this. So when it comes to the data collection, what we're looking at, how we're doing it. So every single time we are outside Sashvin, we're going to note down the number of sharks that we have. So that is what we call our abundance. And we're going to use this fancy piece of equipment here. So this is our YSI, also known as the Yellowstone instrument. It does note down various water properties. So specifically what we're looking at is that temperature and that dissolved oxygen too. And we do it at a surface level, a mid-level, and then towards the bottom. So all of the data that we've analyzed is an average of all of those 3 measurements too. And when it comes to our dissolved oxygen levels, how do we know what our YSI is saying to us? At sea level, the YSI does assume that oxygen to be at 100%. So, of course, for us, we're on the ocean. That is very much sea level. So if our oxygen dips less than 100%, it means there's something taking it out of the environment. So there could be some degradation happening in the water. If it goes above this, it does mean there's an input too. So for us on the boat, it directly lets us know pretty much what we can expect from the day, and also further understand, just with our skipper and ourselves, what is going on with our sharks and how we can check what's going to happen. But these are our results, so we only have this over a short time from January, February, and March. So with long-term analysis, we'll be able to see these trends a lot more. But with our temperature, we found that there was no positive relationship between this and the shark. So that does mean when there's an increase in temperature, it doesn't necessarily mean that we had a major increase when it comes to our sharks. You'll see we are using p-values over here, so just to get a little bit nerdy. When you have your p-value, that just shows you the significance of your results. So you can see each of them have that up in the right-hand corner of our graphs. So if it is less than 0.05, it does mean it is highly significant. If it goes above this, it's going to have less significance. It doesn't mean there isn't a relationship, it just means it may be a little bit weaker, okay? Where you can see, dissolved oxygen was on the complete other side, a very strong positive relationship. So that's how you can see, when it comes to just putting these values on a graph, you can immediately visualize how your sharks are going to be affected when it comes to this. And then just in comparison, in February, we did have a very big change. We saw now a strong positive relationship between an increase in temperature and then an increase in the number of our sharks. And then the same with that dissolved oxygen again within this month. And then finally, just last month, I did put pressure on Tamar to have this ready for today. So he's got it up nicely there for you guys. So you can see we had a weaker positive relationship and then also no positive relationship. But when it comes to this, of course, you might be thinking, okay, there's no relationships between this. What is it telling us? Of course, this is just an initial insight of what we do have. Once you start doing this over a longer term, it does mean you're going to start seeing these trends a little bit more. And even sometimes, guys, no results are still results when it comes to it, okay? But the reason we want to do this, with that long-term monitoring, it can identify any changes that are happening within our ecosystem and how that is going to affect our sharks. So if we are seeing changes in our temperature and then within our dissolved oxygen, if those are reasons that are maybe anthropogenic, possibly the cause of humans, that is something where we can take action. So what we do when we're out on the boats, we're collecting all this information on our sharks. We're able to know what we can do. If you know what's meant to happen, you can identify that change and then take action because you already know what is meant to be happening. So it does equip us with the knowledge to then push forward, the same as we did with our no shark catch zone. You were able to see exactly the effect of this and then put in effective conservation as a result. But then moving on to our short-tailed stingray. So this is one that does take guests by surprise. So it's not one that people expect to see whilst out on the water. But as Susie mentioned, impressive size. And we're actually doing something very exciting when it does come to these stingrays. So currently we are in the process of putting out a paper when it comes to the photo identification of our short-tailed stingrays. So I've got a pretty big job. I'm going through the photos from 2014 all the way up to last year, so 10 years worth of photos looking at our short-tailed stingrays to identify whether we have the same species, also look at their retention time, how long they're staying here within our bay as well. But what we're utilizing are the little dots above their head. So we fondly call them freckles. They're situated just above their eyes, and each one is unique to every single short-tailed stingray. So it does mean that you can look at the individual and know exactly which one you have in your bay, which is pretty unique. So the benefits of utilizing our photo ID, super cheap. You just need your camera. That's all you need, and just some time to go through those photos as well. And then, of course, when it comes to data collection, we want to make sure it's accessible on our commercial boats. You have guests that are around you. This means that hand in hand, we can educate, guide, but then also actively take our research photos and build our repertoire of what we do have when it comes to our short-tailed stingrays. So you'll see here from that middle photo, all three of those photos, that is the exact same stingray, even despite the different angles that we do have. So we're going to utilize those little dots situated directly at the top, but you can see one taken from the side, one taken just from in front of it as well. But the benefits of this, as mentioned, we can note down how long these stingrays are staying in the area. Also, any seasonal differences, so we can note down any sightings, but know whether it's the same individuals that are coming through or if they're moving out of the area. And we'll also, as we're doing with the bronze whaler sharks, compare this to our oceanic conditions, because that's on the same data sheet. We have all of that YSI data too. So as well as our bronze whalers, we can now explore and see what is happening with our short-tailed stingrays. How sensitive are they to the environmental changes? Is it an increase in oxygen that's going to bring them up? A decrease in temperature? What is happening with these guys? So keep your eyes on that. I still have a lot of work to do, a lot of photos to go through, but that is something we're hoping to get done by the end of this year as well. And then another fantastic thing that we are involved in is the ATAP platform. So that is our acoustic tracking array platform. So when it comes to acoustic tags, what it is, you have a little tag that is then inserted either into the animal or you can have an external one too. But what you need are receivers. So just behind Dyer Island, we do have 3 receivers. These are noting down as any animal swim past within their proximity. It's going to note down a timestamp, the date, and also how far it's been within that area. So because we do form part of a network that contains over 250 of these receivers across the South African coastline, that is 2,200 kilometers that is covered. So if you have a tag on these animals, they're swimming through collaborative science, you can download this data. Each of those tags is going to have a unique code. So you can then identify exactly which individual has been where, note down their migratory patterns based off of this. And how you're going to get that information, this means we get a fun day out on the water. We're going to utilize our hydrophone. So essentially what you have is your box, and with that hydrophone, it does connect to the receiver. So you send a little code, it will release, that receiver pops up, that information is ready for you to download and then share amongst your scientific cohort as well. But with this, with our acoustic tags, the reason that I'm mentioning this, Wilfred has been on our case about getting tags into short-tailed stingrays, so that is something that we are really hoping to do over the next time. Chantal Elston, she's one of the lead stingray experts when it does come to our South African species. We're currently chatting to them about this, so this is something that we are really, really hoping to move towards so we can understand what's happening at our boat, but of course, once they disappear out of our view, what is happening beneath those waves, where are they heading after this as well. And then another view below our waves is our broad deployments. So that is baited remote underwater videos. So what this is, you have a stainless steel rig. We do deployments around our Dyer Island area, specifically in conjunction with Cape Nature as well. So it goes directly towards the Dyer Island ecosystem and how we're utilizing that conservation as well. But within our specific area, we're very lucky with the diversity we have in terms of our habitat types. So you can see we've got kelp forests. Everyone's very familiar with their kelp. So with kelp, just like a terrestrial forest would, at base level, mid-level, and on top with their fronds, leaves, if you want to call them, they are going to support different ecosystems. So we're able to see what is supporting it with this. We have our rocky reefs as well, typically supporting some cold water corals, maybe some of those smaller fish species too, and then our sandy sediment closer to where our dive site is as well. So what we're going to look at, we have a bait canister one side, you have your GoPro on the other that is recording everything that's happening within that space. We're going to note down our species diversity, so how many different animals are we seeing within that time, also the abundance, how many of those individuals we do have, but then also the habitat usage. Of course, you're not down there, you're not disrupting them. It provides a fantastic opportunity to see the environment. Once it is completely unbothered, nature's going to do what it's due, and then we get to view it. So that viewing party is always a fantastic time, waiting in anticipation to see what we have. You can see down there, over in the bottom corner, we do have our broad-nosed seven-gill. Trying to have a little taste of the bait. We have octopus, of course, majorly intelligent, so we'll see them trying to figure out how to open their bait canister. Fantastic to see how these animals do interact with it. But then from our birth footage that we did have, this is our latest publication. It was released in December 2024, so this was by a past intern, Daniel, and then also our past biologist, Rolf. So through all of the footage that they went through, they started noticing unique behavior when it came to our cat sharks and our shy sharks. So specifically the leopard cat shark, what they had, it was called cryptic behavior. So that is essentially when a predator comes into view, notably within this one, it was smooth-hound sharks and Cape fur seals. That animal immediately drops to the floor and freezes, almost like it's holding its breath. So for most of the footage, when we have and view all of these cat sharks and shy sharks, they're swimming around, they're foraging, so to see them just freeze, it was very unique and something that hadn't really been noticed before. Even their buccal pumping, which is the way they breathe when they're resting along the bottom, that's just the movement of their gills to allow the water to pass through, that even stops. So they are physically holding their breath in the presence of a predator, and that was something that they spotted through this. And of course, when they are freezing too, a lot of these cat sharks, beautiful coloration along their dorsal side. It does mean with that coloration, that is a form of camouflage. That freezing behavior then tied in with the way that they are physically presenting, it's going to be a very, very effective way to evade that predation. So that was something we were able to get and understand a little bit more about just the animals that we have here and witness almost every single day. We can just see what they're getting up to once they're down there. And then, of course, when it comes to necropsies, so these are, of course, normally a bit of a mix of 50-50. So you have the emotional side of seeing some of the most incredible animals just stranded up on beaches, lifeless in front of you. For this specific one, this is my first ever mako shark that I did see. But with these necropsies, we have to understand the value and the importance of being able to get this up close to an animal, really get down to those measurements. When it does come to our shark necropsies, there's over 103 measurements that we take, okay? So it is a good shift put in by the team. We'll get it to the finest detail. But when it came to this specific mako shark, it was a male individual around 2.2 meters in length. Very impressive to have that come up. We found it over in Didam, it was told to us. And when it was found at the time, it still had its jaw intact. Unfortunately, at the time we then collected it, that jaw had already been removed. So you can already see, even at the time of its death, these sharks are still being exploited. So unfortunately, as we continued our necropsy, we do very in-depth surface investigations. And there was a slit just behind those right gills, and that slit looked very, very similar to the removal of a fishing hook. So the death of this individual was likely the case of a failed catch and release when it comes to these sharks. Of course, mako sharks, they're very, very close relatives of our great whites too. They can reach speeds of 75 kilometers per hour. That is the fastest shark we have in our oceans, and here we have it in front of us, unfortunately brought to its death by the active fishermen, okay? So you can really see it's every single day that we are noting down these effects as well. And then of course, one of our cuter options, so this is the common eagle ray, very cute blunt snout. We had two individuals, this was pretty recently, up along Franche Col Beach. One was definitely fresher than the other. We were told about one, and then the team went and picked up two. So we did our necropsies on these as well. Measurements were taken for both of those individuals. And then from that point, the fresher one, we decided to do the internal biology. The other was just put to the side. I don't think we would have managed to do that one too well. But when it comes to our common eagle rays, a lot of ray species are supported again by our estuary environment too. So having the opportunity to get those measurements and understand their internal biology, really see what is happening within these animals, and at the same time educate groups. So with our academy, we do have a lot of educational groups that are currently coming through. One of our past groups, they were able to witness this hands-on, see exactly what is happening with our animals in our waters as well, and further understand, have an up-close experience. Of course, the more people know, the more they care. So that is a big basis of what we do when it comes to our research and our conservation as well. Oh, okay. That one decided not to work. But anyway, what I was going to say is just, guys, when it does come to our conservation and our research, it is a collaborative effort. So we have Marine Dynamics operating our commercial vehicles. We are educating our clients on a day-to-day. That is Susy and my main prerogative. And then when it comes to our Marine Dynamics Academy, we have our volunteers. We've got them sitting up there. We've got our interns as well. They're the ones who are going to learn more and also inspire their passion. They are typically from different areas of the world. That is a message they're taking back home, educational groups that are coming through. All of this does equip our Dyer Island Conservation Trust. So if you guys do want to keep in touch, see what's happening, all of these necropsy reports, anything that we're doing research-wise, it is going to be on our Trust website, on our social media. So do stay in touch, stay informed, and of course keep us in the date. Okay. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Shame. You took away our faces.
Wow, that would be great. Wow. Incredible. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, Susie. We only have time for 2 questions because we've still got things to do. Just quickly, we just wanted to say from Marine Dynamics side, it's not that we're against fisheries in the industry, but we do believe that it's got to be done in a more sustainable way. It can't be done wiping out all these species and then there's nothing left. So it's got to, we have to look at a more sustainable way to do it. And in the case of non-consumptive ecotourism, the value chain of that, because we can keep on getting people out, taking people back to the same place without taking anything out, and we've got a whole community and so many different things benefiting from it. So the value chain is just so much bigger instead of just taking one thing out, getting money for it, and that's the end of that. We've got all these crafts that's made by local people, the local produce that we have, the volunteers we get in, so we just do believe that the value chain is so much bigger by doing something sustainably instead of just taking something out. And of course, long liners is also not beneficial to the fishermen, just reaping and taking everything out. So we're not against the industries, but we do believe that it needs to be looked at. So we've only got time for 2 questions. If you've got something, if you're going to say white shark, you're not allowed to tell us. No, you can, but nobody can all down white shark in the same sentence. Then we're going to direct you to a book in our shop. So, have you got any questions? Or can we go on to yes? Okay, let me quickly bring this to you.
We're from Betty's Bay, and there's a lot of anglers on the beach that catch these small little sharks. I'm not sure if they're sand sharks or if they, what are they, and they sometimes chuck them back. Often we find them dead on the beach, just lying on the beach. The hooks in them. Are you aware of that? Do you know what those are?
So, do you want okay. Yeah, no, so for a lot of the smaller species that people do catch along the beaches, we get a lot of the spotted gullies and then also the smooth hounds. So when it comes to smooth hounds and spotted gullies, they do spend a lot of time in the coastal waters, so it is like a case of this too. Susie also mentioned that it could be ragged-tooth sharks that are more in their juvenile stages as well. Of course, when it does come to angling that is, in a way, a little bit more recreational, if they're laying them back, of course, that is a major positive for sharks. They will be experiencing that stress as well. If you do have any recreational fishermen friends, we do encourage them to take part in our ORIA initiatives, well not ours specifically, it wasn't created by us, but we do heavily support it. And that is essentially a tagging project, very accessible. You can get those tags that have unique IDs, and what that does, it provides information about the different animals, their distribution, how long they're staying in areas, their growth rates. That is something we do actively do when it comes to our academy interns and volunteers as well. So a great way to tie in both recreation, but then also science as well. So that's likely what's happening with them.
So next marine evening at your house in Betty's Bay, that's the only way you get to by educating people and spreading the word and just telling them that you can't just take a shark out because for the fun of it, it doesn't work like that anymore. Is there another question for Amy or Susie? Okay, so talking about tagging, I just quickly want to introduce Sandra, who's our other marine biologist. She did the conversation, the talk about Marion Island. So while we're talking about tagging short-haired stingrays and Wilfred being on our case to do that, Wilfred also really wants us to tag this penguin. So we're just quickly going to tell you about it, because we mentioned it last time, but just a quick update about the tagging of the rockhopper.
So very, very exciting news. We have received a satellite tag this week from America for the rockhopper penguin. So we have permission from the Department of Fishery, Forestry and Environment to deploy the tag, and they will send a specialist through within the next week or two to tag the penguin. So once we have a weather gap, we will put the transmitter on, and then we will hopefully send the penguin back home. We will also share some more information on our social media platforms. I wish I had a photo of the penguin here now, but we will definitely keep you up to date where the penguin is and where he's heading to. It is very exciting to tag this penguin because not much is known about what happens to the penguins when they leave our coastline. A lot of the research that is being done on these rockhopper penguins is from the Southern Ocean, their breeding islands such as Marion Islands, Tristan da Cunha and so on. So yeah, we don't know what happens to these little guys once they have been rehabilitated and being sent off again.
Thanks, Sandra. Yes, and that's what Amy said as well. Repeating the words of Wilfred, the more we know, the more we can care, and the more we can take action to look after these animals, so we need to find out more. Then, just before we go, to have soup and not shark fin. Obviously, we also bought a Sassy. Sonia and Amy mentioned Sassy. I know they now have got a they used to have the fish fin S, they called it an SMS number. Now it's done a little app. Always make sure that you've got it on your phone so you can check. Obviously, all our fish and seafood is green because I believe it's a seafood or mussel soup. I just really want to introduce you to Sunday Selway. Quickly get up. Where are you? She's going to, there we are, that's Sunday Selway. So Sunday Selway is going to be part of our Dyer Island Conservation Trust. She's going to take over the educational part, the deep kids, the fishing line bins, the community projects, the beach cleanups, so all those kinds of projects. So if you see her in town, give her a big hug. That little girl, tiny, short girl, her uncle was a game ranger and he absolutely inspired her growing up in the Eastern Cape. And then she went to study nature conservation and she was a game ranger with a Ford, massive Ford, but she said she only does automatic and like shooting at poachers. So she's a tough cookie. Like all these girls that you saw tonight, I can just add. So thank you so much everyone for being here. Please look out for Sunday Selway. If you want to introduce yourself to her, you're welcome to do so. And please go enjoy